Exposed. My daughter's 300 million transformation just 12 hours after rejection. She desperately proves them wrong. In the heart of a small Midwestern town, where every day felt like a repeat of the last 17-year-old Sarah stood on the precipice of her dreams. With paint-stained fingers and heart racing like a drum, she faced a panel of judges who held the power to validate her existence. But when one judge, with a sneer buried deep in his featureless face, reduced her artwork to a pile of frivolous brush strokes, it wasn't just her art that shattered. It was her spirit. And what do you know about real art? You come from a nothing town with nothing to show for it. He scoffed, hollow laughter echoing into the sterile room. Sarah's cheeks burned with humiliation, but the ache inside her chest only fueled the fire. All her life, Sarah had felt like the invisible girl, the one in the shadow of her mother's diner shifts, the one who painted vibrant worlds in her garage while the rest of her town barely noticed. But rejection? That was a punch in the gut she hadn't been ready to take. She left the competition in tears, a reminder of every doubt she fought against. Yet, instead of curling into despair, she wiped her tears and took to the canvas. Each stroke that followed was charged with the energy of a girl determined to rewrite her story. The next few weeks felt electric. She poured every hurt into her art, creating a series that spoke not only of her own pain but echoed the stories of her neighbors, the factory workers, the single parents, the dreamers whose spark was all but extinguished by circumstance. She posted her work online, and over the days that followed, something miraculous happened. People began to notice. Messages flooded in, and her paintings sparked conversations in her town, igniting a flame of hope and resilience. The same townsfolk who had quietly watched her as she painted now rallied around her. They shared her work, attended her pop-up gallery events, and began to see the beauty in the grit they all shared. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. But with success came pressure. The whispers of admiration grew louder, carrying expectations she feared she could never fulfill. Then came the call. The art gallery that once laughed at her humble origins wanted to propel her to stardom. The thought made her heart race, a mix of excitement and dread. Did she really want her art to be part of a slick marketing strategy? As she stood before her canvas, heart pounding, she realized this decision would shape not just her future, but the lives of all those who believed in her, wrapping her roots into her art. Before she could pick up her brush, a knock at the door interrupted, shattering her thoughts and sending her pulse into overdrive. Standing there was a figure from her past, unexpected and electrifying. The answer to her dilemma hovered just out of reach, leaving everyone, including Sarah, breathless for what would come next. Sarah's breath hitched in her throat as she took in the familiar face at her door. It was her older brother Jake, the kind of guy who could light up a room with just a smile. But it wasn't just his smile she missed. It was the laughter, the easy banter, the moments they once shared before he left for the city chasing dreams of his own. "What are you doing here?" she breathed, uncertain whether she was scared or thrilled to see him. "I heard about the gallery. I was in town and couldn't just sit by and let you do this alone," he said, his voice warm but laced with concern as they hugged. Sarah fought back the tears that threatened to spill over. "It's been insane, Jake. I don't know if I can handle all of this." He stepped back, studying her like a canvas he wanted to understand deeply. "Let us talk about it." Settling into the small living room filled with her artwork, Sarah poured out her heart. She shared how everything had changed since the rejection, how every brushstroke had begun as a response to avoidance, and now it was morphing into something extraordinary. But with the buzz of admiration came a spiral of doubt. The art world felt like a harsh, unforgiving landscape, and she feared losing herself in the process. Jake listened intently, nodding with understanding. "Sarah, you've always seen the world differently. You paint from the soul, and that's what matters most. Don't let anyone take that away from you, not even a fancy gallery." His words coursed through her, igniting her confidence even as they made her confront the very thing she dreaded: commercialism. "But what if they want to change me?" she asked, her voice quivering. Then you stand your ground, he answered firmly. You're not just some artist on a canvas. You're a voice for those who feel unheard. And that's powerful. Inspired, Sarah grabbed her paintbrush, but fatigue suddenly washed over her. It sounds so easy when you say it. Jake scooted closer, placing a reassuring hand on her shoulder. You fought so hard to get to this moment. You can't stop now. Remember that they laughed at you because they didn't understand. The conversation sparked a warmth in her chest, but doubts still lingered in her mind. Questions swirled, each one dragging her down a path of uncertainty. She was caught between standing her ground and wanting to seize the opportunity of a lifetime. What if the chance to be seen meant compromising her identity? With questions tumbling through her thoughts, Sarah glanced at her brother. What if I say yes to the gallery but it changes everything? What if I lose myself in the process? Jake met her gaze, seriousness overtaking his features. You'll have to decide for yourself, but remember, the journey is yours. Don't lose sight of why you started painting in the first place. His words hung heavy in the air, a tangible burden she could almost feel weighing down on her. This moment was turning point, an intersection between ambition and authenticity. There was a knock on the door again, nearly startling them both. Sarah exchanged worried glances with Jake. This time she knew the stakes were high. Was it another opportunity, or another confrontation with the ghosts of her past? With her heart racing, she opened the door once more, ready to face whatever or whoever waited on the other side. The burdens of the past and the promises of the future collided in that moment, leaving her wondering what would come next, and who was about to step into her world with answers or more questions. Sarah opened the door, her breath hitching again, but this time for an entirely different reason. Standing before her was a tall figure, silhouetted against the fading sunlight. It was Clara, her former art mentor, the woman who had seen potential in her when no one else would. They had shared countless hours in that cramped studio, lost in the world of colors and canvas. Sarah gasped, a mix of emotions crashing over her like a wave. There was joy in seeing her, but an undercurrent of anxiety twisted in her gut. What had Clara come to say? Can I come in? Clara asked, her voice steady but laced with an urgency that sent a shiver down Sarah's spine. Of course, she replied, stepping aside, allowing Clara to enter. She couldn't help but notice that her mentor looked weary, a smudge of worry etched on her brow. Jake lingered in the background, silently observing, gauging the atmosphere in the room. Clara turned to Sarah, her expression earnest. I heard about the gallery showing. I needed to talk to you before everything changes. What do you mean? Sarah swallowed hard, her heart racing. The gallery had already felt like a burning spotlight, and now Clara's words were throwing more logs on the fire. I've seen many artists go through that door, Clara said, her eyes narrowing with purpose. Some flourish, but others, most of them, get lost. They lose their voice, their vision, trying to fit into someone else's mold. Sarah's breath quickened. I can't afford to lose myself. But what if this is my only chance? What if I can't say no? Clara held up a hand, intelligent and steady. You have to understand, Sarah. There's a difference between being seen and being lost. You can be a star, but it's who you choose to shine for that will define your journey. Her words were like a jolt of electricity, shocking Sarah back to the reality that loomed before her. The moment felt heavy with meaning. She thought of Jake's encouragement, but Clara's warnings echoed like a chorus in her mind. What do I do? Sarah whispered, feeling the walls of uncertainty closing in. Trust yourself, Clara said softly, stepping closer. Trust the artist who created raw and beautiful pieces from pain. Don't paint just for acceptance. Paint for the truth that compels you to pick up the brush every day. Jake shifted his weight, a concerned frown on his face. Clara has a point, he said, his voice laced with warmth. You can build your own path. The opportunity is there, but don't let it dictate your worth. The three of them stood in silence, the tension thick and palpable. Sarah could feel the weight of her choices pressing down hard, running through the maze of thoughts like a dark river. Each direction led somewhere different, a chance to rise and shine or risk fading into obscurity. As Sarah opened her mouth to respond, a loud commotion echoed from outside, breaking the fragile atmosphere in the room. Startled, she turned toward the window, her heart pounding anew. An art enthusiast was shouting, a small crowd gathering around a hastily opened van, art canvases peeking out. What is happening? Sarah murmured, curiosity and dread mixing in her tone. I don't know, Jake replied, moving to the door. But it looks like we're about to find out. They stepped outside, the air alive with excitement and chaos. The crowd murmured and pointed, and Sarah could sense the buzz growing stronger, pulling her toward the unknown. What was happening? And was this a sign of something good or a tempest brewing? Sarah's chest tightened as she prepared to step into the fray, heart racing in rhythm with a million questions shooting through her mind. Was this another opportunity, or a distraction from the decision she had to make? With Clara and Jake at her side, she took a deep breath, the world shifting and changing rapidly around them, a storm waiting to be unveiled. What lay ahead could unravel everything or revolutionize her art forever. And she couldn't shake the feeling, whatever it was just the beginning. The crowd surged, a sea of energy and confusion as Sarah joined Clara and Jake, her heart fluttering with both fear and intrigue. The chatter from the onlookers filled the air, a mixture of excitement and disbelief. She squinted against the late afternoon sun, trying to decipher what was happening. In the middle of the commotion, a charismatic man with wild hair stood atop the open van, gesturing animatedly with enthusiasm. Ladies and gentlemen, gather round. Art is finally breaking free from the confines of expectation. His voice echoed, capturing attention like a magnet. What is he talking about? Sarah asked, her curiosity piquing further. Jake leaned closer, a look of fascination on his face. They're unveiling new art, he said, the corners of his mouth lifting slightly. Could be worth checking out. Clara nodded, but Sarah could see the concern lingering in her mentor's eyes. It could be a distraction, Sarah, Clara said quietly, leaning into her with a hint of urgency. Don't lose focus on what's in front of you, what's inside you. Yet, the allure of the chaos made it hard to look away. As they edged closer, Sarah caught glimpses of vibrant canvases, their colors dancing brilliantly against the plain backdrop of the van. Something in her chest tightened with recognition. These were not just any paintings. They spoke of raw emotion, each brushstroke resonating with truth that felt familiar. As the artist continued to speak, Sarah felt a connection, a pull towards what he was sharing, something she had yearned for and thought lost. Art isn't just an object, he proclaimed, his voice rich with passion. It's a voice, a movement. It's about expressing what's unfiltered and real, feelings that society often tells us to hide. Jake turned to Sarah, his eyes clearing with understanding. Yes, right, you know? You've always had that voice. Don't let anyone or anything drown it out. With a rush of energy, she stepped closer, drawn into the vibrant world spilling from the van. As the canvases unfurled, her mind swirled with possibilities. What if her gallery showing could not just be a step into the right circles, but a chance to truly express herself? What if she stepped off the beaten path instead of following it? Suddenly, the artist jumped down from the van and landed with a thud, a joyful grin stretching across his face. Who among you is ready to let go of age-old constraints and find your true inspiration? He pointed towards the crowd and everyone seemed to lean in, waiting for something more. Sarah felt a jolt. What if this was a pivotal moment, one that required her to choose? Inspiration surged through her veins, urging her forward. She squeezed Clara's arm, seeking her mentor's approval. Clara's approving nod fueled the fire that burned within her. Something is changing, Sarah said, her voice rising above the dull roar around them. What if this is my chance to be part of something greater? Jake smiled, an encouraging spark in his eyes, while Clara stepped back, contemplating the shift happening before her. Just remember, before Clara could finish her thought, a commotion erupted at the back of the crowd. People were gasping, moving aside as someone important elbowed their way past. Sarah squinted to catch a glimpse. A suit? Could it be the gallery owner? Her stomach churned as she felt the weight of fate pressing in. Would the gallery owner see her there, at that moment, witnessing everything transpiring? What would that mean for her future? And as she stood, teetering on the edge of decision, the air crackled with possibility, leaving her breathless and wondering, was she ready to seize not just an opportunity but a transformation? Would she take the leap, even if it felt like jumping into the unknown? As the figure approached, the crowd fell silent. A moment bearing the weight of destiny lingered on the edge of time. What would happen next? What choice lay in the balance? The figure stepped into the sunlight, and time seemed to slow. Sarah's breath caught in her throat as the crisp lines of the suit turned into a familiar face, one she had seen in magazine spreads and art critique columns. It was Max Harmon, the famous gallery owner known for his sharp eye and even sharper tongue. "Here we go," Clara whispered beside her, the worry in her voice evident. Jake's hand rested reassuringly on Sarah's shoulder. "You've got this. Just be yourself," he murmured, emboldening her even more. Max scanned the crowd, his expression unreadable, before his gaze landed directly on the artist. "You, what are you doing?" His voice resonated with authority as he cut through the murmurs. The artist, undeterred, clasped his hands together defiantly. "I'm revealing the truth of art. This is not just for galleries. This belongs to the people." Max's mouth twitched, part surprise, part annoyance. "Art is meant to provoke thought, yes, but it's also meant to sell. It seems you don't understand the business you're in." The crowd shifted uncomfortably, caught between the artist's fervor and the weight of Max's words. Sarah's heart raced. Did this confrontation spell trouble? Or was it an invitation to stand up? "Art is more than just inventory," Sarah shouted suddenly, her voice breaking through, shocking herself and everyone around her. "It's about expressing our truths, what we feel deep inside." "Ice and tea that worth something?" Gasps echoed through the crowd. Max raised an eyebrow, surprised, and turned his attention toward her. "Who is this?" he asked, scanning her face. For a moment Sarah felt the world close in, the focus narrowing to just her and Max. The anticipation crackled in the air like static. "I'm Sarah, and I don't want to be just another name in your gallery. I want to change the conversation." Clara's hand gripped her elbow, both a warning and a support. "Sarah," she murmured, but Sarah was lost in her own whirlwind. Max studied her, eyes sharp as he evaluated. "Change the conversation? So you believe that art can provoke more than just interest in a price tag?" "Yes," she replied, adrenaline fueling her resolve. "Art can connect us, heal us, inspire us. It can show our rawest selves when we dare to be vulnerable." The crowd stirred, some nodding, others glancing at Max, seeking his reaction. Sarah could already sense ripples of change. She just needed to keep pushing. "Art is meant to be accessible, alive," she continued, finding her voice. "Not confined behind glass but dancing in the sun." Max's gaze shifted, a flicker of intrigue breaking through the stern facade. "And how would you propose to make this dance?" Sarah paused, considering her next words carefully. "By letting everyone find their own way to it. By offering authentic experiences. I want to create art that resonates, not just hangs on walls." The air was heavy with anticipation. Her heart raced as she saw a hint of approval in Max's expression, but doubt still lingered. Could this really be her moment? And just as Max prepared to respond, sharp laughter broke through the crowd. Someone else had approached, a woman dressed like a thunderstorm in a sleek black dress that whispered power. "Oh, please don't tell me we're getting all heartfelt and emotional here," she scoffed, casting doubt over the budding energy. "Do you believe art has a soul?" Sarah challenged, her voice steady even in the face of this looming figure. The woman smirked, the tension in the air thickening, and the crowd held its breath. What would this confrontation bring? Would Sarah's plea hold up against the cynicism of the art world? As whispers fired up around them, Sarah braced herself, knowing that the outcome was hanging by a thread, and she was eager to see where it would lead. The woman stepped closer, her presence commanding the attention of the crowd. Her size, both physical and emotional, overshadowed the moment. "Art has no soul. It's a product," she said dismissively, her voice dripping with sarcasm. "If you want to sing about your feelings, write a poem. This here." She gestured broadly. "This is business. This is survival." Anger ignited within Sarah, but she fought to keep herself calm. Art can be both. Can be a business, yes, but it can also nurture the soul. There's room for both, don't you think? Max's expression shifted from annoyance to intrigue. It was refreshing, he seemed to think, to hear someone push back against the norm. The crowd was buzzing, the energy shifted, there was a palpable need for resolution. A way to weave between emotion and commerce. The woman laughed again, louder this time. "You really believe that? That your little dreams matter? You know what people want. They want to be entertained. They want what's marketable. Anything else? Useless." A central pulse thrummed in Sarah's chest. This was it. A challenge so typical of the art world, so intense and raw. Then why does my heart race when I look at the art that speaks to me? Why do I feel connected to the artists who lay their souls bare? It's not useless if it means something. Listen to her. Clara squeezed Sarah's arm, eyes wide with a combination of pride and disbelief. People need to hear this. Max's gaze darted between Sarah and the flashy woman, as if he caught himself at an intersection of two very different paths. The crowd hung on the unfolding drama, leaning in closer, tension curling like smoke. People need to feel something more than just the selling price. Sarah pressed on, her voice gaining volume. Art without heart becomes forgettable. It exists only to fill spaces instead of inspiring change. The woman rolled her eyes, but there was a slight crack in her practiced confidence. Good luck changing the world, sweetheart. Last I checked, ideals don't pay the electric bill. Sarah clenched her fists but remained unwavering. But what if art can spark that change? What if we can bring light into dark places and make people question their reality? They deserve that chance. A murmur swept through the crowd. Max's brow furrowed, and he leaned slightly forward, intrigued. Was there merit in Sarah's words? A truth buried deeper than dollar signs? I want to create, Sarah began, her heart soaring. I want to create a space where anyone can express their art without fear of judgment. A gallery that doesn't turn away those who aren't established or wealthy. A place where creativity flourishes. Revolutionary but impractical. The woman shot back, but the doubt now tinged her voice, revealing the rift beginning to form in her argument. Something deep within Sarah inspired her to keep going. Why can't we challenge the norm? Why can't we build our art communities up instead of tearing them down? Art should live freely. It should belong to everyone. The crowd swayed, nods blooming like spring flowers as people resonated with her vision. Even Max, typically so restrained, seemed caught up in the moment, his expression hopeful yet calculating. Then, with an unexpected force, Max stepped forward, cutting through the rising energy. You really think you can just change the entire industry with your passion? He asked, skepticism sharpening his words, yet curiosity sparkled in his eyes. Yes, Sarah responded, her heart pounding, unyielding. I believe in the power of what we create when we stand together. A thick silence gripped the crowd, filled with anticipation as their breaths mixed in the charged air. The question lingered. Could her dreams seamlessly intertwine with this cynical artist's world? The stakes were high, and Sarah knew the fight was far from over. And somewhere in the depths of this unfolding exchange, a flicker of possibility ignited within her. But she was about to learn that one bold move could shatter her dreams, or bring her closer to her vision. It came down to a choice, the ultimate test of conviction. Was it worth risking everything for her art? As she stood there, hands trembling but spirit soaring, she braced herself for the storm ahead. Sarah felt the crowd's energy shift again. A delicate balance of anticipation and doubt. Max's challenge hung in the air like a thick fog. Everyone seemed to hold their breath, waiting to see what she would do next. Did she dare to push harder? She inhaled deeply, gathering her thoughts. If not me, then who? If not now, then when? The words came out stronger than she expected, ringing clear and bold. She glanced around, seeing faces filled with curiosity and a hint of support. Could they really be ready to take on the art world together? Look, she continued, I know it sounds crazy, but art has the power to bridge gaps, to spark conversations, and even to heal wounds. It's not just about making a living. It's about making a difference. The woman scoffed, but the incredulity in her eyes had softened. She wasn't dismissing Sarah outright anymore. There was a flicker of something almost respectful there. Yeah. So what's your big plan? Organize a protest? Hand out flyers? No. Sarah felt the fire of indignation heat her cheeks. I want to host an exhibition. A real one, open to everyone. No fees, no elitism. Just art. Real people sharing their stories, their truths. A ripple of excitement spread through the crowd. Clara beamed at Sarah, her affirmation palpable. Even Max's brow furrowed deeper, pondering the logistics and challenges. The woman raised an eyebrow, intrigued now, as if Sarah had struck a chord within her. And how do you plan to fund this exhibition? The woman's tone was sharp, but there was a trace of genuine inquiry hidden beneath the edge. Dreams don't pay for the lights. I'll find a way, Sarah replied, feeling the fire within her tighten, determined but cautious. Maybe through crowdfunding or partnerships with local businesses. It might take work, yes, but I want to give up. Just then a voice broke through the crowd from the back. Sounds like a lot of effort for nothing. It drew laughter from some, but Sarah didn't flinch. The scoffing felt typical, almost background noise to the symphony of her rising spirit. She turned to face the voice, her heart racing. What if nothing becomes everything? Sarah called out, her eyes fierce. What if this nothing ignites something greater than we can imagine? What if it changes someone's life today? The crowd responded. Whispers exchanged, eyes darting towards one another in thought. Could this really work? Max stepped closer, almost as if he was still weighing options in his mind. You're asking a lot, Sarah. It's not just about the art. It's about putting yourself out there, risking everything. I get that, she said, her voice trembling yet steady. But isn't it worth taking a chance? To create a safe haven for artists who feel lost? To make a new kind of community? This city needs art, and so do the people in it. Something shifted in the crowd. A few people nodded, their expressions lightening as if they had caught a glimmer of hope. A tension that had been festering began to lift. Maybe she was onto something. Count me in, Clara shouted, her voice cutting through the crowd like a knife. Felt like a dam breaking. I'll help. I'll spread the word. Others quickly chimed in, offering their support, their help. It was nothing short of electric. But as the moment unfolded, Sarah noticed the woman's demeanor change. For the first time, a flicker of something vulnerable crossed her face, buried beneath layers of bravado. You really think you can pull it off? The woman asked, almost challenging Sarah. Watch me, Sarah replied, the defiance igniting a spark of determination she hadn't realized she possessed. She felt alive, the weight of the world lifting right at that moment. But as the crowd began to disperse, Sarah sensed the obstacles ahead. What if the support faded? What if her ambition eclipsed reality? Could she really change the perception of art in her community? An idea struck her. Could there be a way to bridge the gap between passion and pragmatism? The potential for self-doubt loomed larger than ever before, but she refused to buckle under its weight. As she turned to leave, a glimmer of uncertainty settled on her heart. Could she really forge a community that transcended fear? The weight of the challenge lay heavy ahead. Sarah's dream teetered on the edge of reality. Would her vision bring people together, or tear them apart? The path ahead was filled with questions, and the clock was ticking. Sarah couldn't shake the reverberation of the crowd's response from her mind. The excitement still crackled in her veins, but underneath it was a reality she couldn't ignore, doubt. She took a deep breath, stepping away from the scene as the sun dipped lower, golden light spilling over the horizon, a perfect metaphor for the hope she clung to. With every step toward home, the weight of possibility hung heavier. What if everything crumbled? What if her dreams fell flat? She could still hear the laughter of the naysayer hanging in the air like smoke. It taunted her, a reminder of the uphill battle that lay ahead. Once inside her tiny apartment, familiar yet suffocating, Sarah sank onto her worn couch. The walls felt like they were leaning in, questioning her resolve. She opened her laptop, a familiar sense of dread creeping in. She scrolled through notes she had jotted down amidst the chaos. Fundraising ideas, artist contacts, community resources. Each idea beckoned her to bring them to life. But what if they all failed? The question hung there, one Sarah did not want to confront. She started typing, filling a page with her thoughts. What would an exhibition truly mean? She wrote, pouring her heart into the words. It's not about art, it's about people. As she wrote, the floodgates opened. Memories of her childhood flitted through her mind. The dusty art studio where she first picked up a brush, her mother's laughter echoing as she painted on the kitchen table. Those moments felt fragile now, but they ignited a fire within her. Sarah had always believed in the power of stories. Maybe hers could inspire others. A sudden ping interrupted her thoughts. A message notification. It was Clara. We're all in this together, it read, followed by a lineup of ideas about local businesses that could partner with them. The warmth of Clara's words spread through Sarah like sunlight breaking through clouds. Okay, she whispered to herself, eyes gleaming with renewed purpose. Let us make this happen. With each idea Clara presented, Sarah felt her confidence swell. They could canvass the neighborhood, hold an open call for artists, create social media buzz. What if they turned the whole idea into a movement? A series of exhibitions connecting different communities, allowing them to share their voices? Suddenly, her vision expanded, lifting the weight of doubt, replacing it with an intoxicating mixture of hope and determination. It was more than just an exhibition. It was a revolution, a chance for the unheard to express themselves, to rally together against a world that often left art behind. But then the reality of logistics dawned on her again. She needed funding, a venue, artists willing to share their deepest truths. A surge of anxiety gripped her at the thought of financial hurdles blocking her path. Just as those thoughts began to spiral, another notification arrived, this time from Max. "Can we meet? I want to discuss ideas about the exhibition." Her heart raced. Did he now see the potential too? Or was he simply looking for a way to talk her down? Either way, she knew she had to take this chance. As she typed out a quick response, Sarah's mind raced with possibilities. Each idea spun like a kaleidoscope, vibrant and full of life. There was so much to do, so many connections to make, and so many hearts to touch. But what worries lingered in the air? Would they believe in her vision as fiercely as she did? Would they rally behind her or fade as days turned into weeks? The clock wasn't just ticking. It was counting down to the unveiling of a dream that felt just out of reach. Could she pull it together before it slipped away? Would the risks prove too great? The meeting with Max would be the turning point. Or perhaps it could become another dead end. The thought gnawed away at her excitement. Tomorrow would be crucial. Tomorrow the real test would begin. The next morning arrived with an anxious energy that buzzed in the air. Sarah woke before dawn, her mind racing, her heart churning with anticipation. The first light of day spilled through her window, casting soft shadows across her cluttered desk. The reminder of the meeting was like a ticking clock in the back of her mind, pushing her to focus. She brewed a pot of coffee and fidgeted, staring at her reflection in the steaming mug. As she gulped the hot liquid, her phone vibrated with a reminder of the meeting time. Fingers trembling slightly, she decided to go for a run to burn off some of the pent-up energy. She raced through the empty streets, the brisk morning air filling her lungs as she urged her legs to push faster. Every stride felt like a release, a way to chase away the doubts lingering like shadows. But even on the run, the uncertainty clawed at her. Would Max dismiss her ideas? Would he question her commitment? As she turned a corner, a small mural caught her eye, a piece of vibrant art that told the story of the neighborhood. It sparked something deep within her. The images danced in her mind as she jogged, each stroke signifying strength, resilience, and the voice of a community. Back home, she hopped into the shower, letting the hot water rush over her. For a brief moment, the soothing warmth washed away her tension. She envisioned the exhibition, and her spirits lifted at the idea of showcasing art that mattered. It wasn't just about her anymore. It was about everyone who believed in the healing power of creativity. Time slipped away and soon she was dressed, a light sweater layered over her favorite jeans, a balance of casual comfort and readiness. She glanced at the clock. It was almost time. Tapping her fingers nervously against the table, she replayed Clara's encouraging words in her mind. "We're all in this together." Stepping out of her apartment, Sarah inhaled the sharp freshness of the morning air. She took a deep breath, mentally preparing herself. The meeting was at a quaint cafe, bustling with early customers blending flavors of coffee and chatter. As she pushed open the door, the faint aroma of baked goods greeted her, a subtle reminder that sometimes good things come from warmth and patience. Max was already there, seated in a corner booth, a serious look on his face. He waved her over, and with each step she took, her heartbeat quickened. "Hey Sarah," he greeted, offering a half-smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. "Thanks for meeting me," she replied, taking a seat across from him. The table felt like a chasm, separating her from the answer she craved. "So let us talk about your vision," he said, leaning in slightly, but his tone held a hint of skepticism. Taking a deep breath, Sarah dove into her ideas. She painted a vivid picture as she spoke about the exhibitions, the community involvement, the stories of artists who needed their voices amplified. Each word unleashed a thread of excitement that wound around them, weaving hope into the fabric of their conversation. But then Max leaned back and crossed his arms, his expression shifting. "Sounds ambitious, but I worry about the funding and the logistics. We might be aiming too high." Her gut twisted. This was the moment. She could either retreat into doubt or push forward. Determined, Sarah raised her chin. But what if we don't? What if we fail to try? This exhibition could mean so much to so many people. We have to believe in it, Max. He studied her for a moment, and suddenly, something flickered in his eyes, a glimmer of understanding. Or was it determination? Before she could read him fully, he said, I want to believe in it too. What's next then? Just like that, everything hinged on the words yet to come. What if today marked the start of a new chapter? Or would the door slam shut on her dreams? As they exchanged ideas, Sarah felt the hope swell within her. But just as the conversation gained momentum, her phone buzzed again. This time with a notification that made her heart drop. Was this the distraction that could unravel everything? She hesitated, palms sweaty and pulse racing. What news awaited her? Would it support her dreams or tip her over the edge? As Sarah sat across from Max, a mix of exhilaration and doubt washed over her. It felt like she was standing at the edge of a diving board, toes gripping the edge and heart pounding in her chest. Should she leap or hold back? The atmosphere crackled with unspoken questions, but soon the buzz in her pocket shattered the moment. Gingerly, she pulled out her phone, her heart sinking when she saw the notification. Clara. Her trembling fingers opened the message. Funding crisis. We need an alternate plan for the exhibition. Panic surged through her. Control was slipping through her fingers like so much sand, and she fought the urge to pull back from the conversation with Max. Everything okay? He asked, sensing the shift. Yes, she said, voice shaky, desperate to hide her storming thoughts. Just a bit of a hiccup. Clara is worried about funding. Max's expression softened, laden with understanding. Funding can be tough, but let us not panic just yet. We can brainstorm. Together, I think we can make this work. His encouragement struck a chord deep within Sarah. This wasn't just about her anymore. It was about a community, her community. She squared her shoulders. Let us not just find a temporary fix. We need to think bigger. What if we held a fundraiser? Like a collaborative art event, local businesses sponsor booths, and artists showcase their work. We can highlight the stories behind their pieces. Max smiled, nodding. I like it. It creates excitement. We can combine that with the launch of the exhibition. Sarah felt the energy pulsing back into her veins. Ideas flowed, filling the air around them with a delicious tension. They discussed partnerships, potential locations, and strategies to engage the community. She could see it vividly, the streets alive with color, bustling with creators and patrons. As the hours passed, a wave of optimism surged through her, dissipating her earlier fears. Each idea they tossed back and forth fueled her urgency to transform long-held dreams into tangible plans. Then came the moment she had been waiting for. Let us take a chance, Max said, his tone firm yet encouraging. We'll launch this fundraiser, get immediate community buy-in and build from there. Tears welled in Sarah's eyes, but she blinked them away, heart swelling with gratitude. Really? You'll support this? Absolutely. Art is too important to ignore. And this is your chance to redefine what it can be. Her spirit soared. This was massive. She felt empowered, ready to stitch something beautiful from the threads of uncertainty. In that moment, she knew this leap of faith was worth every bit of energy. The meeting ended as they finalized ideas, enveloped in the warmth of collaboration. The daunting task ahead became a rallying cry, not a fear. They stepped outside, and as Sarah breathed in the afternoon air, she felt a rush of hope. And just when she thought it couldn't get better, her phone buzzed again. It was Clara. You're not going to believe this. A local cafe wants to host the fundraiser. Her heart raced, tears began to stream down her cheeks. She immediately texted back a string of excited emojis. She turned to Max, a radiant smile lighting her features. She had the support she needed. This is happening, she proclaimed, and together, laughter broke the air. In the weeks that followed, Sarah stormed through challenges one by one, with Clara and her brother at her side. Local businesses came on board, artists shared their stories, and the town buzzed with anticipation. They set up community boards sprinkled throughout town, drawing attention and igniting excitement in everyone. With each moment of doubt, Sarah clung tightly to the sense of community forming around her. The day of the fundraiser arrived, and as Sarah stood at the entrance, a wave of gratitude swelled within her. The cafe was filled with laughter and creativity, the walls vibrating with inspiration. She could feel her heart racing, not out of fear, but from the joy of everyone just being themselves, their authentic selves. Clara squeezed her hand, pride glowing in her eyes. "Look at what you've created." Sarah smiled back, warmth flooding her cheeks. "We did this together." The funds rolled in, but more importantly, connections sparked all around her. The artist's stories came to life through laughter, vulnerability, and the unity vibrant in the room. At that moment, amid the creativity dancing in the air, Sarah knew this was just the beginning. She had not only transformed her own life but the fabric of her community as well. By the end of the night, Sarah stood at the gallery space, where she had once dreamed of finding acceptance. Only now she realized it wouldn't be about fitting in. It was about breaking barriers, embracing makers not as artists but as voices deserving to be heard. As the event wound down, she stepped outside into the cool night air, breathing in the excitement of the night. Jake and Clara stood beside her, both arms slung lovingly around her shoulders, making her feel grounded. "Whatever comes next," Sarah said, resolve firm in her voice, "I'm ready for it." This was her moment and she wouldn't shy away. The world of art was changing, and she was leading the charge. She turned to face the street glowing with hope. She smiled wide, knowing this journey didn't just fulfill her dreams. Instead, it wove a tapestry of connection built on passion and authenticity. "Let us keep painting," she whispered to her brother and mentor. And together they stepped forward into a brilliant new future. Now this is the moment where you need to show your support. Subscribe immediately to the channel, so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that will inspire you. Leave a like now to help us feed the algorithm, and make sure more people see these transformational tales. And don't wait not even one more second to comment below with your reactions and feelings about Sarah's incredible journey. Share this video right now with at least 5 friends who need to hear this message of hope and creativity. Your support means everything to us, so please, let us keep this powerful movement alive together.